The story begins with the MC's thoughts. Ever since he was a child, his grandmother has always told him to help others, insisting it was the key to true happiness. Ironically, she herself never accepted help from him. Hiyoshi often reflects on how he was raised by such a kind, selfless person, and how those lessons have stayed with him ever since. Now, even at a young age, he has become a member of the school's health committee. As he sits in class, lost in thought, he wonders how he somehow always ends up helping the undead. The very idea of an undead sounds like something straight out of a video game, but in reality, it's far more unsettling. He feels a pang of guilt for thinking of his classmate that way, and quickly pushes the thought aside. The girl sitting next to him notices his unease and asks if something is wrong, but he brushes it off. She narrows her eyes slightly and points out that he's been staring at her for quite a while now, then quietly wonders if he's actually afraid of her. At first, he tries to deny it, but then hesitantly admits that it is just a little scary. She does not seem offended at all, and simply remarks that it is obvious, because she is undead now, which practically makes her a monster. She adds that he should not push himself too much, noting that she does not need his help. The undead girl, Tsukuyomi, is determined to show him that she can handle everything on her own. Sometime back, Tsukuyomi used to live a completely normal life as the refined daughter of the famous Tsukuyomi family. During her life, she excelled at everything, including studies, sports, and even martial arts. Along with that, she was also extremely beautiful in person. However, after the summer break, she returned as an undead. When she first entered the class, she informed everyone that a lot of things had happened over the break. All the students were both shocked and curious about her condition. She reassures them that they do not need to worry because, unlike in movies or games, she is not going to attack, harm, or bite anyone. She acknowledges that she died once, but because of the spiritual power of a talisman, her soul is bound to her body and continues supplying it with life energy. She goes on to mention that she can still lead a normal school life. In the end, she concludes that since she herself is not very bothered by it, there is nothing for anyone else to worry about either. She then encourages everyone to simply think of it as her having gone through a slight image change. Hiyoshi is completely shocked to hear her story, while one of the other classmates is surprised at how she is still their cool classmate even now. Another student comments that she still looks pretty even as an undead. After her introduction, the teacher tells her to take her seat, and Tsukuyomi awkwardly walks toward her chair in a strange, stiff manner. Everyone stares at her unusual posture as the teacher approaches Hiyoshi and reveals that Tsukuyomi cannot move very well because of her new body. Because of that, Hiyoshi is assigned to help her, since he is a member of the health committee. Even though he is rather hesitant about being given this role, he still accepts, and Tsukuyomi's school life officially begins. Even though she has already stated that she will be able to live a normal life here, she is still worried about whether that will truly be possible. Just then, the teacher asks if anyone in the class knows the answer to a question. Hiyoshi notices Tsukuyomi trying to raise her hand and thinks that perhaps she may not need his help after all, since she is a genius young lady. However, to his shock, she cannot raise her hand properly, as her arm only dangles awkwardly in front of her. When he questions her about it, she quickly claims that it is not that she cannot move her body properly, but that she simply has a habit of raising her hand like that. Hiyoshi immediately tells her not to make such strange excuses and points out that it must be her condition preventing her from lifting her arm normally. A little embarrassed, she concedes that he is right. She quickly insists that she does not need his help because depending on someone like that is really shameful for her. She confidently declares that if she just supports her arm with her other hand, she will surely be able to raise it herself. However, despite her determination, she still cannot manage to lift her hand, and both of her arms end up spread awkwardly in front of her in a strange pose. Hiyoshi realizes just how difficult the situation must be for her and notices that her face has turned red from embarrassment. Even though he finds her a little cute in that situation, he also sees how hard she is trying and decides to help her. Quickly standing behind her chair, he gently lifts her arm and finally raises her hand, informing the teacher that she wants to answer the question. Tsukuyomi becomes excited as the teacher finally looks at them, and she slowly stands up to give her answer. However, as she begins speaking, the teacher casually mentions that the class has already moved on from that question and is now solving the next equation. After class ends, he apologizes for embarrassing her in front of everyone like that, but Tsukuyomi responds that there is nothing to worry about because she did not make a mistake at all, and instead, she was simply helping the other students review their studies. She then shifts the topic and notes that he is actually a very kind person, since he helps her even though he is afraid of her. Hiyoshi quickly insists that he is not scared of her anymore. He explains that until now, he has only ever seen her as the perfect young lady, and because of that, he always thought she was someone very difficult to approach. But now, after seeing how hard she tries and how easily she becomes embarrassed, he feels like she is much easier to talk to. That is why he no longer minds helping her. She does not seem pleased by that and maintains that she can handle everything on her own. Still, she reluctantly admits that if he truly insists so much, then she may allow him to help her. Even as she downplays the need for his assistance, Hiyoshi suddenly notices that she keeps looking toward the opposite side and wonders if her neck is stuck in that position. As always, Tsukuyomi refuses to admit anything and simply claims that it is her hobby to stare diagonally at the floor. After Tsukuyomi returns at the end of the summer break, Hiyoshi is given the task of helping her through school life, since even normal everyday actions have become extremely difficult for her. After their first class ends, one of their classmates mentions that their next lesson is chemistry. Tsukuyomi immediately notes that they have to go to the chemistry room, and Hiyoshi quickly realizes that getting there means they will have to climb the stairs. The two of them soon find themselves standing in front of the staircase, where Hiyoshi wonders if she will really be able to go up on her own. She proudly declares that she does not need his help at all, adding that as a daughter of the Tsukuyomi family, she will show him how she can climb the stairs with elegance. To Hiyoshi's surprise, she actually manages to make her way up the stairs by herself without making any mistakes. He quickly praises her for doing such a good job and notices how secretly pleased she looks inside. Even so, he cannot help but worry, because she skips several steps in such an unnatural way that her climbing style looks extremely strange. After successfully reaching the first flight of stairs, she gains confidence and starts moving ahead, suggesting that they should continue onward. Still concerned for her safety, Hiyoshi decides to walk behind her in case she suddenly trips. However, he quickly regrets making that choice, because from that position, he can too easily catch sight of her body. He immediately scolds himself for having such improper thoughts. While Tsukuyomi is sincerely doing her best to climb the stairs, he decides that instead of looking at her, he should also stare diagonally at the floor. The moment he glances away to the side, his foot suddenly slips, and he ends up face-planting on the stairs. When Tsukuyomi turns and questions what exactly he is doing, he simply replies that he is fighting with himself. Later, they attend their chemistry class, during which nothing particularly unusual happens. As they walk out of the classroom afterward, Hiyoshi thinks to himself that he has been worrying for nothing, since Tsukuyomi seems to be handling the stairs surprisingly well. However, he suddenly stops in his tracks when he notices her standing at the top of another staircase. At that moment, he realizes that while going up may have been manageable, going down is going to be far more difficult for her. Just then, Tsukuyomi suddenly lifts her leg as if preparing to step down, but Hiyoshi quickly stops her, warning that if she tries to take such large strides, she is definitely going to fall. Without wasting any time, he sits down in front of her and offers to carry her on his back instead. Seeing her hesitate, he awkwardly adds that perhaps it feels strange for her to have such close physical contact with a boy. But she suddenly raises her voice and declares that being carried by someone else is deeply humiliating. Hiyoshi becomes annoyed by how stubbornly prideful she is and questions what exactly she plans to do instead. Tsukuyomi confidently responds that he only needs to wait for her at the bottom of the stairs because she already has a plan. She explains that going down one step at a time is too risky, so instead she will do the opposite and descend in one giant leap. She proudly insists that she will land perfectly after the jump. Hiyoshi immediately objects, saying that such a method sounds even more dangerous. However, Tsukuyomi insists that she used to be a national-level gymnast when she was alive and is completely confident in her ability to jump. In the end, they decide to go with her plan. Hiyoshi waits nervously at the bottom of the stairs, worried about whether she can make the jump, and even more worried about whether he can catch her if she falls. He watches closely as she leaps. To his surprise, she moves gracefully through the air, looking far more elegant than he expected. She lands safely, and Hiyoshi quickly runs over to her. Tsukuyomi also feels relieved, happy that she avoided the embarrassment of being carried. However, while she is speaking, her skirt accidentally shifts, causing an awkward moment. Hiyoshi notices, and both of them immediately become flustered and embarrassed. Tsukuyomi quietly mutters that she is not the kind of girl who would do something like that on purpose just to avoid being carried. As always, she quickly tries to cover up the awkwardness by coming up with an excuse, claiming that this too is simply her new hobby. Hiyoshi can only respond by remarking that her hobbies are becoming really strange. After that embarrassing incident, the two of them carefully make their way down the rest of the stairs and safely arrive at their next class. When lunch break arrives, Hiyoshi asks Tsukuyomi where she is going. She replies that she is heading out for lunch. Hearing that, he instantly becomes worried and nervously wonders if she might attack people, but she quickly reminds him that she is not a zombie and calmly explains that she has brought her own lunch. Hiyoshi then wonders if she plans to eat by herself. At that, Tsukuyomi turns to him and questions whether there is any problem with that. He quickly denies it, though inwardly he still feels that even if she is undead, it is a little concerning for her to spend lunch alone. Because of that, he offers to join her and suggests that they eat together. After a brief moment of surprise, Tsukuyomi accepts, and the two head to a quiet, hidden spot for lunch. As they sit down on a bench, she mentions that this is her secret place. Hiyoshi notices how pleased she seems, and quietly comments on it. He then wonders if it is because she has always been eating alone until now, and is finally glad to have someone join her. Tsukuyomi immediately denies this, insisting that she actually enjoys eating alone. The moment she says that, Hiyoshi jokingly pretends he is about to leave, remarking that he does not want to disturb her if that is the case. Tsukuyomi quickly stops him and adds that since he is here as part of his duty as a health committee member, she will allow him to eat with her this time. Still curious, Hiyoshi presses her again about why she looks so happy. Tsukuyomi replies that she is simply glad to be eating lunch. As she opens her lunchbox, Hiyoshi jokingly wonders if she has brought raw meat, but once again she reminds him that she is not a zombie. Instead, she reveals a simple meal of sushi rice with pickled plums. Hiyoshi finds her lunch surprisingly refined, and Tsukuyomi explains that as an undead, she needs to eat foods with preservative and antibacterial properties. However, while she is talking, Hiyoshi notices her expression suddenly turns sad, even though she had looked cheerful just moments before. Tsukuyomi then glances at his lunch and comments on how he is about to eat pork, noting that it looks very delicious. Seeing her expression, Hiyoshi remarks that this time she really does resemble a zombie. Realizing that she clearly wants to eat meat herself, he gently tells her that she should be grateful they are still able to eat food at all. Tsukuyomi accepts that and takes out her chopsticks to begin eating. However, the moment she tries to use them, it becomes clear that she is unsure whether she can manage properly. She explains that her family tried to give her a spoon instead, but she refused, insisting that she is no longer a child. Hiyoshi becomes slightly annoyed by her constant habit of stubbornly refusing help, even when accepting it would clearly make things easier. He finds himself irritated by how she keeps acting tougher than she really is, but Tsukuyomi argues that proper table manners have been drilled into her since childhood. Because of that strict upbringing, she proudly adds that she has even mastered transferring beans with chopsticks and once held a world record for it. Hiyoshi is genuinely impressed by her claim, though he still cannot help worrying about whether she will manage eating properly in her current condition. Tsukuyomi confidently tells him to just watch. However, just as he expects, the moment she begins, she ends up making a complete mess of her food. Rather than admitting failure, she immediately begins making excuses, insisting that this too is somehow part of proper table manners. Hiyoshi quickly advises her not to say such things, pointing out that it reflects badly on her family's reputation. Even then, Tsukuyomi refuses to give in and instead blames the chopsticks themselves, complaining that she truly hates them and even resents the Japanese people for inventing such an inconvenient tool. Seeing how badly she is struggling, Hiyoshi offers to help and picks up the chopsticks himself, deciding to feed her. As he awkwardly brings the food toward her mouth, he even lets out a small, nervous sound while trying to be careful. Tsukuyomi, however, is clearly uncomfortable and remarks that being fed like this feels very strange. Hiyoshi points out that if he does not help, she may not be able to eat at all. Tsukuyomi reluctantly admits that he is right, but still adds that a boy and a girl doing something like this makes them look like lovers. Hiyoshi nearly shouts in embarrassment, telling her that she is talking nonsense. Tsukuyomi calmly agrees, and he once again raises the food toward her. Hiyoshi is visibly struggling with the awkwardness of the situation, and Tsukuyomi notices that his face has turned red. He explains that he is only nervous because she keeps saying such strange things. Trying to calm himself, Hiyoshi reminds himself that as a member of the health committee, his responsibility is simply to help her because she cannot use chopsticks properly, and nothing more. Even after telling himself that, when Tsukuyomi opens her mouth to accept the food, he still finds the moment strangely suggestive. However, as soon as she takes a bite, her expression suddenly changes, and she lets out a small cry, her face twisting as she embarrassedly comments that the pickled plum is extremely sour. Seeing such an unexpectedly adorable side of her completely distracts Hiyoshi from all of his awkward thoughts. Once they finally finish eating, the lunch bell rings, and Hiyoshi quickly stands up, saying that they need to head back. Tsukuyomi points out that he has barely eaten anything himself, but he simply replies that he is not hungry. At last, the first day of helping the undead girl passes without any major disaster. As they walk out together, Hiyoshi comments that despite everything, it was quite a chaotic day. Tsukuyomi agrees, noting that even though undead cannot technically get tired, she still feels strangely exhausted from all the excitement. She then politely bows and apologizes for causing him so much trouble. Hiyoshi tells her that it is not a big deal since she cannot help her condition, and as a member of the health committee, helping her is simply his duty. Tsukuyomi quietly points out that his stomach had been growling earlier, meaning she clearly caused him more inconvenience than he admits. Now that she understands how kind he really is, she adds that she feels even more guilty. She says that if he truly dislikes helping her, then he can stop at any time. But Hiyoshi quickly assures her that helping others is his life motto, and that he actually enjoys spending time with her. That is why he wants to continue helping her, and he even suggests that they should have lunch together again, if she agrees. Tsukuyomi immediately brightens up and happily responds that she would like that very much. She sincerely thanks him for helping her. After the two of them agree to continue supporting each other, Hiyoshi teasingly adds that next time she should simply bring a spoon and a napkin instead of trying so hard to act tough. As expected, Tsukuyomi becomes offended by that remark and firmly declares that tomorrow she will prove to him that she can handle everything perfectly on her own. It is the second day of him helping Tsukuyomi, and he finds her standing at the school gate early in the morning. She greets him cheerfully with a good morning as he asks why she is standing there. To his surprise, Tsukuyomi replies that she is waiting for him. Hiyoshi becomes unexpectedly excited upon hearing that, as it is the first time in his life that a girl is waiting for him at the school gate. His heart starts racing even more when she mentions that she has been eagerly waiting for him, and he tries to calm himself down. He asks what she means by that, and Tsukuyomi simply points ahead of them and says that she meant that. Hiyoshi quickly realizes that she is referring to needing his help with the shoe lockers, since that is the first hurdle of the day for her. A little confused, he asks how she was able to manage things on her own yesterday during lunchtime and at the end of the school day. Tsukuyomi explains that her body is quite stiff, especially in the morning, and as the daughter of the Tsukuyomi family, she does not want to disgrace herself in front of the entire school, so she will accept his help. Hiyoshi realizes that someone as prideful as her is actually asking for his assistance, which means he must have gained at least a little of her trust after yesterday. This thought makes him unexpectedly happy, and he excitedly tells her that he will help her with everything. Tsukuyomi further adds that she does not want to stand out in front of everyone, which confuses him slightly because there are already quite a lot of students around at this time. After thinking for a moment, he remembers the shoe lockers located in the corner of the area and leads her there, saying that he is sure there will not be many people around that spot at this hour. She explains that most students turn right because of their classes, so this corner is essentially her dead angle, where she can change her shoes without worrying about being seen. Hiyoshi then quickly leaves, saying that he will bring her indoor shoes. Tsukuyomi tells him to go ahead, but as soon as he leaves, she suddenly realizes something and calls out his name. However, he has already run off. At the shoe lockers outside, Hiyoshi first changes into his own indoor shoes. After that, he opens the locker to take out Tsukuyomi's shoes. As he picks them up, he realizes how strange the whole scene looks and silently hopes that Tsukuyomi is not going to get angry about this. When he gets back, he immediately notices that she is infuriated with him. Tsukuyomi shouts that she is annoyed because things like this smell. Hiyoshi tries to assure her that her shoes were clean, but she remains angry and forbids him from ever touching her shoes again. Hiyoshi becomes confused about how he is supposed to help her in that case and asks her to confirm if she truly does not want his help at all. Tsukuyomi simply says that she can do it by herself and raises her leg to put on her shoes. However, the shoes end up kicking Hiyoshi in the face by accident, which irritates her further, and she immediately smacks him in confusion. He says that this was not his fault. Tsukuyomi quickly apologizes, saying it was just a reflex. Still, Hiyoshi tells her that the smell is actually pretty normal. Seeing that Tsukuyomi is once again getting annoyed with him, he calmly tells her that she should not be shy about it. Then he sits down and says that he will help her put her shoes on,